Good morning, gardeners, and welcome to Thursday, June 22nd. My name is Catherine, and I created a show called Good Morning Gardeners, even though I can't grow green things, because I am referring to gardening metaphorically. We are planting the seeds for a better day. We're starting our morning by getting in the right mindset to cultivate a better life for ourselves, better communities, and a better world. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to add Good Morning Gardeners to your morning routine. I do my best to wake you up with positive and mentally stimulating ideas, but sometimes I do miss things. If you have something to add to the ideas I discussed today, please chime in the comments section below. So there is no international holiday for today, but I did want to let you know that this coming Saturday, June 24th, will be the International Day for Women in Diplomacy. Women have been playing a crucial role in global governance since the drafting and signing of the United Nations Charter in 1945. Women bring immense benefits to diplomacy. Their leadership styles, expertise, and priorities broaden the scope of issues under consideration and the quality of outcomes. Research shows that when women serve in cabinets and parliaments, they pass laws and policies that are better for ordinary people, the environment, and social cohesion. Advancing measures to increase women's participation in peace and political processes is vital to achieving women's de facto equality in the context of entrenched discrimination. Historically, diplomacy has been the preserve of men. Women have played a critical role in diplomacy for centuries, yet their contributions have often been overlooked. It's time to recognize and celebrate the ways in which women are breaking barriers and making a difference in the field of diplomacy. As of 2014, 143 countries guaranteed equality between men and women in their constitutions. Another 52 countries had yet to make this important commitment. Advocating for increased representation of women in key decision-making positions will greatly shape and implement multilateral agendas. So this morning what I've been thinking a little bit about is how everybody is so unique in how they choose what is important to them and how they can find meaning in life. To me, the way that I go about finding meaning and deciding what is important to me, it has often felt so laborious because I have a tendency to overanalyze everything and I'm a perfectionist. So it's almost like I get sick of myself because I can't just be happy with, one simple thing. It's hard for me to stop once I start thinking about something. And if I find something good, it's really hard for me to just enjoy it and not think, okay, but how can it be better, And I have this really annoying tendency to want to drill down to the very heart of every single issue. Anyway, I hope you guys don't find it annoying because you're listening to me do stuff like this, but I was also thinking that this week I have talked about the legacy that we leave behind, and I've also talked about creating a morning routine to support your goals. But I was thinking, how does everybody decide what their legacy will be? And how does a person select what their goals are going to be when there are so many possibilities to choose from? Now, one book that I think speaks about human meaning in a way that is really interesting is The Hero and the Outlaw by Margaret and Carol Pearson. This book was published in 2001, so it is dated, but I think that the discussion is still relevant today, and I also think it's really interesting in the context of choosing a legacy, selecting goals, basically just deciding, what is important to you. So the authors write, in brief, motivational theory can be condensed into a focus on four major human drives positioned along two axes: belonging/people versus independence/self-actualization, and stability/control versus risk/mastery. In everyday human terms, this means that most of us want very much to be liked and to belong to a group. At the same time, we also want to be individuals and go our own way. Both of these desires are deep and profound human urges, yet they pull us in opposite directions. The desire to belong makes us want to please others and conform, at least to some degree. The desire to individuate causes us to spend time alone and make decisions or act in ways that those close to us may not understand. Similarly, most people have a deep need for security and stability. Such desires are fulfilled by routine, comfort, and staying with the tried and true. We are responding to them when we buy insurance, stay in a job for the pension plan, or religiously take our vitamins. Yet, however much people want safety, most of us are also energized by their ambition and the desire to exert mastery. If we want the exhilaration of accomplishment, we must take risks. So, motivated by the wish to leave a thumbprint on the world, we must take a controversial stand, start a business, or try other new and risky ventures. Life requires constant negotiation along these poles. When we sacrifice one end of one of these continua to the other end, there is a tendency in the psyche to seek balance. That's one of the reasons some people experience midlife crises. They have gotten out of balance, and some part of them that has been suppressed for too long seeks expression. So Mark and Pearson didn't just make this system up. They are building on the work of older psychologists, including Carl Jung, Robert Kegan, Abraham Maslow, and Erik Erikson. They took the work of these psychologists and analyzed it in the context of their decades of experience in marketing and repackaged this information as a marketing system to help brands connect better with their customers in a meaningful way. I might be going slightly off track here, but I want to read a little bit more to you from this book because I am fascinated by the link these authors draw between capitalism and spirituality. When archetypes are active, they evoke deep feelings. Sometimes those feelings have a spiritual resonance. In our religious traditions, foods frequently take on numinous significance, e.g., the bread and wine in Christian communion or the paschal lamb in the Jewish Seder. In a more everyday, secular way, foods accrue symbolic cultural meaning. For example, in the United States, it is traditional to serve turkey on Thanksgiving holiday. This practice is so prevalent that the presence or absence of turkey can determine whether it feels like Thanksgiving. On a deeper level, turkey as a cultural symbol is one of the many expressions of the archetype of cornucopia, or the horn of plenty that appears in harvest celebrations throughout the world. Similarly, the entire product lines can take on a meaning that gives them symbolic power in all of our lives. A tuxedo signifies that an occasion is important. Champagne says that we are celebrating, and rings signify marriage. When you understand the potential archetypal power of your product, marketing becomes much simpler, more rewarding, and worthier of respect. The management of meaning is about selling products, but it is also about selling meaning with integrity. If companies fulfill their meaning promise to the same degree that they deliver quality products, they help customers in two ways. First, by providing a functional product or service, and second, by helping people to experience meaning in ordinary life. If they do not, they are unlikely to compel brand loyalty. Archetypes ennoble life by highlighting its meaning. For example, someone might feel attracted to another person without experiencing meaning, but the moment they connect with the love story, the archetype of the lover is evoked and the world comes alive. Similarly, you might have a good time on a cross-country trip, but if you undertake the journey to find your long-lost father, or to discover the soul of America, get in touch with yourself, or seek your fortune, the archetype of the pilgrim or explorer is activated, and the experience becomes filled with meaning. The most profound change affecting marketing for the new millennium is the quasi-priestly role it plays in a society without sacred stories to provide our whole culture with shared meaning. In part, the lack of such stories offers us a kind of personal freedom never before experienced. Anthropologists tell us that in the developed world, for the first time in history of the human race, the story of our lives cannot be predicted by our gender and our social station at birth. We are free to define ourselves for ourselves and to choose our own life path. Of course, this freedom brings tremendous power and exhilaration, but it also creates an unprecedented degree of stress. We have to figure out everything on our own. If we are working mothers, many of us have no role models to guide us. If we are men who want to play an active role in parenting, we may not be able to draw on much from our own experiences growing up with our fathers. For one thing, they worked away from home where we could not see them, and for another, they lived by a male ethic that, like the traditional female ethic, has become anachronistic. Life really did shift radically in the 1960s. Baby boomers and every other cohort since that decade are now living lives much different from those of their parents. Many whose parents were doctors or lawyers have chosen to become social workers and shopkeepers, and many whose parents were laborers have gone on to become doctors and lawyers. It is wonderful to have such an opportunity for self-definition and self-determination, but it is also burdensome because we have to be pioneers in the journey of life. The personal icons and heroes who once provided models for how to live one's life have largely become replaced by friends and relatives who, however valued or beloved, may not set a relevant or useful example. Adding to our predicament, we are engaged in this quest at a time when civilization provides us with almost no cultural guideposts. The village elders, the Bible, the great oral tradition, the classic stories, all have fallen by the wayside, just at the time when we need them the most. But the human need for archetypes to guide us does not evaporate. Rather, it grows. And, as with all human needs, when the original source of satisfaction is absent, something fills the void. For young people, it's peer groups, and for all of us, it's Hollywood and Madison Avenue, the great myth machines of our times, spewing forth a steady stream of meaning into the culture, without a clue or a thought as to what they are doing. We are creating meaning without managing meaning. It is no wonder, then, that the public appetite for meaning, particularly archetypal meaning, is so strong that archetypal brands in the form of personalities, public figures, and corporate offerings are fervently embraced and fiercely defended. So if you got a little confused there at the end when the authors mention Hollywood and Madison Avenue, I think they're talking about basically the entertainment industry and movies and shows. And of course, like I said, this is a little bit dated, so I would add to that today, social media like influencers, especially on TikTok. Like I know that real communities and like icons can develop. But anyway, I don't know if that passage resonated with you, but it really did with me the first time I read it. And it actually still does, because I am someone who was raised in a religious culture and then was unable to continue to suspend my disbelief to stay religious as an adult. And because of this, I have grappled with the need for meaning in my life for over a decade now. While it is interesting, I think, the idea that big brands like corporations and politicians can provide meaning for us, I'm not sure how wise that is, given how little many of those entities prioritize morality. So for our feel-good moment today, I want to suggest to you that you are free to find your meaning anywhere you like. I want to read to you a portion from one of my favorite articles ever written. It's called The Great Online Game, and it was written by Packy McCormick. He writes, "We now live in a world in which by typing things into your phone or keyboard, or saying things into a microphone, or snapping pictures or videos, you can marshal resources, support, and opportunities. The great online game is free to play, and it starts simply by realizing that you are playing a game. Every tweet is a free lottery ticket. That's a big unlock. Anyone can play. You can choose how to play given your resources and skills at the current moment. You can level up fast. Financial and social capital are no longer tied so tightly to where you went, who you know, or what your boss thinks of you. This game has different physics and wormholes through which to jump. It's exponential instead of linear. The Oxford Dictionary defines a video game as a game played by electronically manipulating images produced by a computer program on a television screen or other display screen. If you are working remotely from a computer, what you are doing perfectly fits the definition of a video game. Nick Milanovic nailed it in his tweet that reads, "Sometimes it's weird to remember that we're all effectively competing to hit the right keys on our keyboards in the right order, and that if we do it for long enough, we can buy a house." Hit the right keys in the right order. Make money. Work is often just a boring sub-game within the meta game. But that's still a little literal and a lot reductive, so let's go deeper. The best games, according to gaming entrepreneur turned top solo investor Josh Buckley, are creating spaces that bring you into flow. On Invest Like the Best, Buckley said, "The biggest games today really take advantage of this, but you wouldn't actually think of them as a game. I look at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as games, and 3 billion people are playing them actively. They're essentially big layers on top of a slot machine." Buckley went on to lay out the 4 elements of a successful game: frequent feedback loops, variable outcomes, a sense of control, and connection to a metagame. All 4 are present in the great online game. The great online game is an infinite video game that plays out constantly across the internet. It uses many of the mechanics of a video game, but removes the boundaries. You're no longer playing as an avatar on Fortnite or Roblox. You're playing as yourself across Twitter, YouTube, Discords, work projects, and investments. People who play the great online game rack up points, skills, and attributes that they can apply across their digital and physical lives. Some people even start pseudonyms and parlay their faceless brilliance into jobs and money. The game rewards community and cooperation over individualism and competition. You get points for being curious, sharing, and helping with no expectation of reciprocation. By increasing your surface area, you're opening yourself up to serendipity. For good actors, the game has nearly unlimited upside and practically no downside. You can jump into the great online game at any point, whether as a total unknown or an accomplished person, and start building the world that you want to build. So McCormick is speaking directly to people who are interested in financial gains and career opportunities and want to build their success, but I believe that this concept can be applied to people who are seeking meaning as well. If you are already well integrated into a religious or spiritual community, this idea may not be for you right now. But if you are searching for one of these communities, it is very likely that you can find it online. If religion or spirituality doesn't appeal to you, that doesn't mean that you don't need meaning. You can find communities of every flavor that are working towards some goal that you may consider meaningful online. In fact, if I'm doing something right, maybe Good Morning Gardeners is providing a certain level of meaning for you. But before you can know which community to seek out, you must first identify what strikes a meaningful chord with you. Remember that Mark and Pearson wrote that people often find meaning in what they are lacking in their lives, hence the example of the midlife crisis and the person who has accidentally cultivated too much belonging and they are now seeking more independence. This means that what is meaningful to you is likely to change over the course of your life as your circumstances change and your needs fluctuate. Because of this might also be a good opportunity to reevaluate what you have assumed is meaningful to you for a long time. Ask yourself, what feels better right now? Belonging to a group or exerting your own independence? Stability and control or risk and mastery? I believe your mind and or body automatically know what is meaningful to you. So there's no need to overanalyze the source of your meaning because I believe you'll know it when you see it. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will speak with you again tomorrow.